Hello, mathematicians, and thank you for coming to our study session for the Math Therapy vocabulary for 5th grade. This goes along with our district level Math Therapy. We're going to go over all the words for the 5th grade portion of the competition. Let's get started. The first word is composite number. A composite number is a whole number greater than 1 that has more than 2 factors. For example, we have 12 here. The factors are 12 times 1, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. So the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. That's more than 2 factors. Actually has 6. So a composite number is a whole number greater than 1 that has more than 2 factors. Next, we have a prime number, or a prime. It's like the opposite of a composite. A prime is a number greater than 1 with only itself and 1 as factors. So for example, the only way you can get 5 is 5 times 1. So the factors of 5 are 1 and 5. That's only itself and 1 as factors. So 5 is a prime number, just like 3, just like 7, being prime numbers. Next are coordinates. Coordinates are the two numbers in an ordered pair. Here we see a coordinate grid, and we have 2, 3, those are the coordinates for the ordered pair for that pair. So coordinates are the two numbers in an ordered pair. A polygon is a closed plane figure formed by 3 or more line segments that meet only at their endpoints. And here we see an assortment of polygons. A closed plane figure formed by 3 or more line segments that meet only at their endpoints. Next, we have an octagon, which is an 8-sided figure, 8-sided polygon. So you can count those sides. You get 8. Oct means 8, octagon, an 8-sided polygon. Hexagon is a 6-sided polygon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-sided. So a 6-sided polygon is a hexagon. Next, we have pentagon, a 5-sided polygon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a pentagon is a 5-sided polygon. Next, we have an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle is a triangle with at least 2 sides of the same length. Here we see 2 sides that are 6 inches, 1 side that's 3 inches. And so that fits our definition of a triangle with at least 2 sides of the same length. An isosceles triangle. We also have an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle, think about the word equal, is a triangle whose sides all have the same length. So a triangle if every side is 4 inches, that is all the same length, and it's an equilateral triangle. Next, we have a scalene triangle. A scalene triangle is a triangle in which no sides have the same length. So here we see an example, 6 inches, 5 inches, 3 inches, none of the same length. So a triangle in which no sides have the same length is a scalene triangle. Next, we have a flip, which is also called a reflection, and that is the change in the position of a figure that gives the mirror image of the figure. So if I flip this shape right here, it looks like that. It's a reflection. The change in the position of a figure that gives the mirror image of the figure is a flip or reflection. Next, we have a slide or translation. That is the change in the position of a figure that moves it up, down, or sideways. So if I move this here, I slide it, I change the position, and that is a slide or a translation. Next, we have a turn or a rotation, and that's the change in the position of a figure that moves around a point. So if you can imagine a little point right here, and I turn it up, now this is the bottom, so I turned it, I rotated it. So the change in the position of a figure that moves around a point is a turn or rotation. Our next word is circumference. Circumference is the distance around a circle. So if I measure all the way around a circle, and let's say I get 8 inches, that would be the circumference, the distance around a circle. Next, we have a radius. A radius is any line segment that connects with the center of a circle to a point on the circle. So if my line segment starts here and it ends here, that is the radius. It's a line segment that connects the center of a circle to a point on the circle, the radius. Now, if it goes all the way across, a line segment that passes through the center of a circle or sphere and has endpoints on the circle or sphere, that is the diameter. Next, we have a sphere. That is a solid figure in the shape of a ball. Here we see a marble. That's a sphere, a solid figure in the shape of a ball. Next, we have a line. A line is a set of points that extends infinitely in opposite directions. So we have a line, it goes always this way, it goes always this way, it never stops. That's a line. A set of points that extends infinitely in opposite directions. Next, we have intersecting lines. Those are lines or line segments that meet or cross each other. So these lines cross each other, they meet right there. That makes them intersecting lines. Lines or line segments that meet or cross each other. Parallel lines are lines that remain equal distance apart no matter how far they are extended. So these will never intersect. They remain equal distance apart no matter how far they are extended. They are parallel. Next, we have congruent figures. Congruent figures are figures that have the same size and the same shape. So here we have this shape. It's turned, but it's still the same size and it's still the same shape. So those are congruent figures. Next, we have perimeter. The distance around the outside of any polygon. So if I measure that distance around it, that is the perimeter, the distance around the outside of any polygon. And that's the outside. Next is the area. That's going to be the inside. The number of square units it takes to cover the surface of a plane figure covers the surface. That is the area. The number of square units it takes to cover the surface of a plane figure. This one takes 12. Next, we have a line of symmetry. A line that divides a figure into two halves that are mirror images. So those would be exactly the same. They're mirror images, and that line of symmetry cuts it perfectly in half. So there's two halves. So a line of symmetry, a line that divides a figure into two halves that are mirror images. Next, we have an angle. We have an obtuse angle and an acute angle. An angle is a figure formed by two rays with the same endpoint. We can see the endpoints there. So this one is an acute angle. It's an angle with a measure less than 90 degrees. 90 degrees would be a right angle. It would be straight up and down like an L. This is an acute one. It's smaller than that. So an acute angle is an angle with a measure less than 90 degrees. Next, we have a negative integer, and that's an integer number less than 0. So these numbers down here that are less than 0, they're negative integers, which are integers. A negative integer is an integer number less than 0. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Now moving to fractions, we have a numerator. The number above the line in a fraction is the numerator. And then there's the denominator. The number written below the line in a fraction is a denominator. An improper fraction is a term for a fraction whose numerator is greater than or equal to its denominator. A mixed number is a number that is written using both a whole number and a fraction. So 2 1/4 is a whole number and a fraction, so that's a mixed number. It's a number that is written using both a whole number and a fraction. Next, we have percent. A percent is a ratio in which the first term is compared to 100. So here we have a fraction, 85 100ths. We've compared those. We get 85%. That's a ratio in which the first term is compared to 100. Now we have an equation. An equation is a number sentence that uses an equal sign to show that two expressions have the same value. So here we have an equation, 4 times 6 equals 24. Could have had 4 times 6 equals 12 times 2. That would also be an equation. A number sentence that uses an equal sign to show that two expressions have the same value. Next, we have difference. Difference is the number that results from subtracting one number from another. Please excuse my typo. The number that results from subtracting one number from another. It's the answer. A difference. Next is the sum, and that's the result of adding two or more numbers. 6 plus 4 equals 10. 10 is the sum. It's the result of adding two or more numbers. Next, we have factors. Factors are the numbers that are multiplied in a multiplication problem. 6 times 4 equals 24. 6 and 4 are the factors. They are the numbers that are multiplied in a multiplication problem. Next, we have product. The product is the result of multiplying numbers. So 6 times 4 equals 24. 24 is the answer. It's called the product, the result of multiplying numbers. Next is divisor. The divisor is the number that the dividend is divided by. So 6 divided by 3 equals 2. 3 is the divisor, the number that the dividend is divided by. Next, we have the quotient. The quotient is the answer to a division problem. So 6 divided by 3 equals 2. 2 is the quotient, the answer to a division problem. Next is remainder. The remainder is the amount less than the divisor that is left over after the division is complete. So 7 divided by 3 would equal 2 with a remainder of 1, because 3 times 2 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. That's the remainder. The amount less than the divisor that is left over after the division is complete. Next is divisibility rules. These are rules that are used to find if a number is divisible by numbers such as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, or 10. And there's lots of divisibility rules. We have if a number is divisible by 2, if its last digit is even. If a number is divisible by 5, if its last digit is 0 or 5. If a number is divisible by 10, if its last digit is 0. So those are just some divisibility rules. Those are rules that are used to find if a number is divisible by numbers such as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, or 10. Next, we have the word data. Data is collected information. So we collected information about favorite sports, and the information we have up here is our data, our collected information. Next, we have capacity. The capacity is the measure of how much a container can hold. So these containers are different shapes, so their capacity might be different. The capacity is the measure of how much a container can hold. Next, we have a gallon, and that's a customary unit of capacity equal to 4 quarts. So 4 quarts would equal 1 gallon. So here's our gallon, which is a customary unit of capacity equal to 4 quarts. Next, we have pound. A pound is a customary unit of weight equal to 16 ounces. So 16 ounces equals 1 pound. Pound, a customary unit of weight equal to 16 ounces. Next, we have kilometer, which is often called kilometer. It's a metric unit of length equal to 1,000 meters. The prefix kilo means 1,000. So a kilometer is a metric unit of length equal to 1,000 meters. Next, we have median. The median is the middle value in a set of data when the data are listed in order from least to greatest. So here we have some numbers from least to greatest. The median is 4 because it's the middle value in a set of data where the data are listed in order from least to greatest, the median. Next, we have mode. The mode is the value or values that occur most often in a set of data. So here we have our set of data, a bunch of numbers. 3 happens the most, so that makes it the mode. The value or values that occur most often in a set of data. The next one is range. And the range is the difference between the greatest and least values in a set of data. So here we have our data in order from least to greatest. The range from 1 to 7 is 6, so that would be the range. That's the difference between the greatest and least values in a set of data. And last is probability. Probability is the ratio of the number of ways an event can occur to the total number of possible outcomes. So if I roll a dice, I have 1 in 6 chance of rolling a 3 because there's 6 sides. That's the probability. The ratio of the number of ways an event can occur to the total number of possible outcomes. That is our last word for 5th grade vocabulary for the Possible Math Derby for our local school district. Good luck, and we wish you all the best.